Hello, everyone, and welcome to Edge Talk Radio. I am Angela Zabel, that's me, and today I am here with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. She is from North Carolina. We're going to be going into energy and frequency, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So, who am I? I am Angela Zabel. I have been connected to spirit, working with the team in the non-physical my entire life, sharing messages from a multitude of realms with people. I am a teacher, coach, medium, radio show host, writer, retreat host, gallery reader, speaking. I do speaking engagements, offering guidance, mediumship, intuition. I also do online classes, private and group sessions, and the Amplified Universe monthly membership. It's a group that's growing our connection to us, our world, all that's around us, and our role in it. Sharing knowledge with others, working with people throughout the world. You can find me on all social media aspects. And the biggest thing, go to my website, angelazabel.com. And we're here with Edge Magazine. Edge Magazine is the leading events and media resource dedicated to all aspects of holistic living, health, and wellness, and the mysteries beyond. Sharing information, wisdom, and resources, committed to promoting businesses, organizations, and individuals who support our collective journey to wholeness and balance. You can find out more about Edge Magazine at edgemagazine.net. And today we are here with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. She is a visionary guide on a transformative journey towards unlocking the hidden potentials and embracing your authentic self, with a profound mission to embrace and empower individuals to tap into their innate abilities. She shares a light on the intricate laws of the universe and unveiling concealed truths about our reality and offering insights with the unexplored realms. Through her wisdom and expertise, Dr. Kimberly equips you with the essential tools, which we all need, and knowledge to liberate your full potential, paving the way for you to manifest your dream life in the present moment. Embark on a voyage of self-discovery and boundless creation with her guidance. She is internationally renowned and stands as a pioneering consultant and inventor in the field of medical technology, specializing in frequency-based innovations, and her extraordinary ability to weave optimal timelines. Timelines are very crucial lately through conversations, and her unique frequency resonance are catalysts for radical shifts in your reality. The groundbreaking process, she infuses frequency into various mediums, even images. And among her most sought after services is the use of advanced technology to comprehensively scan all aspects of your life, including the beliefs and programming that may impeding your pursuit to your deepest desires. And programming and beliefs are huge going forward. You can find Dr. Kimberly on secretofeverything.com, and she's also on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. She has online classes, courses, apps, books, private sessions, and more. And all of these links will be down below for all of you listening. So make sure to click on the links, check out her information. So, Kimberly, you've been here, you've been doing this for a while. How did you go and what did you do before you did this? And how did you get into this?
Um, yeah, so it's so funny where we end up, isn't it? I would never have dreamed I would end up here. And I feel so lucky every day I get out of bed. I'm just like, is this my life? Yeah, it would really start in college where I really started using my, as you know, because you have them, kind of like psychic medium, paranormal type abilities. I started kind of outing them and practicing them, with my friends. Everybody's like, is my boyfriend going to ask me to marry him? Like stupid things at college, that everybody wants to know, or am I going to get this job? And I became so accurate that I developed quite a reputation. Everybody started coming to me, which people always ask me, how do I develop my psychic abilities? And I'm like, well, everybody has them, like use them. There's so many people that are so accurate and they're like, oh, I knew it, but they never speak it. So I encourage people. And that's how I started gaining confidence, because I didn't have confidence within my home, prior to that, because, psychic abilities weren't accepted. So I encourage people to speak them, because that bounce is lovely. That affirmation is, I'm getting this message, or I feel this. So as I started to speak my abilities and I got that accurate feedback, I had some opportunities to work with law enforcement in college, and again, got that feedback. And, I'm sure you've done, some similar things where, you have to find things or find people, find locations. So, I was able to, again, get that real life feedback of my remote viewing skills. And, that built my confidence. I kind of took a little bit of a turn, but not totally out of the paranormal world. I started studying natural medicine. I became a master herbalist. I became proficient in herbs and organic gardening and medicinal formulas with herbs. Really went down the naturopathic line, really hardcore into a clinical practice, brought in technology and the biofeedback machines, became really familiar with that, studied applied kinesiology. At the same time, as my girls were growing up and developing in their psychic abilities, I brought them into the paranormal side of the business, and we would do house clearings together. We would do paranormal investigations together. I began working kind of alongside my naturopathic practice as psychic medium for various paranormal groups around the country. Kind of, came up against some of the big guys, the ghost hunters, ghost adventures. My ex-fiance grew up with Zach Bagans. So, kind of started to come, in the bottom of the paranormal world. I find, and you're in it, but I found the paranormal world as I got really deep into it, as far as the conferences and the actual events, pretty dark. But by nature,
Yeah.
it's the gory. I don't know what you think, but it's the darkness, it's the murder, it's the ick, it's the demonic. Like that's what draws people. And it wasn't just really resonating with where I really wanted to go in my life. Is it helpful to people to clear a house? Absolutely. I mean, after this conversation, I have to do a house clearing. So it's not that I don't do it, it's that I decided not to saturate myself in that world and kind of to explore other things. So like I said, I really dove deep into frequency and healing. But as you know, and most of your audience knows, I kept bumping against such hardcore stops in physical healing, because we know it starts way before then. It starts in our past lives. It starts in our energy field. It does start with a lot of our beliefs and our programming, and even the teaching that we have about genetics in this reality is so false. And I don't mean way beyond epigenetics. So the reality of how adaptable our genes are and how we can clear for all time and space, backward and forward, it's just so profound. So, I really enjoyed healing people. So then I started kind of came into the consciousness movement, which is a completely different ball game than the paranormal world. I mean, there is an overlap, but different energy. And I really enjoyed that. I found a lot of what I would call false light or deception in that movement as well, but at least they were pretending to be light, which was just more enjoyable to be around. And so, I became well known, in the consciousness world. And then really in the last, couple years have really leveled up with understanding more where we are in this reality. I teach a lot about, what I call the game. I see this world exactly as the Matrix portrays it, but it's definitely what I call a game realm, a holographic game realm that can be won just like any other game. And then I became acquainted to how this game sits in all time and space, which I think is important. So, first of all, you can't win a game or succeed in life if you don't understand what you're living in and where you are. And then you can't really know who you are unless you start to understand the soul essences that you've been through all time and space. So now I kind of have this expanded interest where I mainly focus on, consciousness and healing, the mind, body, soul, physical body. But of course I still do paranormal things. And it's so funny with you, it won't happen because you are a medium. But a lot of times in interviews like this, I'll be like, really? Because beings will come to me that are associated with the host. And I'm like, so I love that you're an active medium and that that is something that you actually go out and do. But I'm a reluctant medium, I would call myself. You understand what I mean? Like they hijack me and bombard me. And I'm like, no, please, no. But anyway, it's kind of my wandering story there.
I love that. No, there's a lot to unpack in what you just said. So we're gonna kind of break it down a little at a time. But
Okay.
I do love the fact that with the reluctant mediums, they're always around us. They're always
Of
there,
course. Right.
and it's really just deciding when you really want to listen to them or when they get loud enough where they disturb you. sometimes. But you do have a choice on that. Everyone has a choice. I don't, that's one of the things I don't ever want people to think they don't have a choice. If someone's doing something you don't like, just tell them knock it off and go away and come back when you're ready for them. And I do agree with the paranormal is that I think it draws a lot of people in with that macabre and wanting to
Yeah,
understand and hear that scary stuff. And Halloween is getting to be such a big holiday. But I
true.
really think it's such a big way, it's a segue for people to get into
Mm.
the rest of it and go, what else is there? If there's that, what else is there? It starts the questioning. So I think I think it's a great way to do things. And I still play with the, going to the houses and the businesses and checking things out. And sometimes they'll just come up and say hi. But it is a lot of fun to do that too. So I think it's meeting a different side of people. And I think that's the biggest point, and knowing there's so many different sides to people. And as you've gone through you talked about unlocking the hidden potential. Everybody's psychic. And I totally agree. Everybody's psychic. Everybody has a mediumship ability. Everybody can connect to the other side. It's trusting yourself and learning to tap into it. And as you've been going through, and I'm a kindred soul with you. I'm hearing your words where you're talking about, going out there and helping people to really step into who they are. And beliefs and programming are so huge that we go through. Are you finding now that working through those beliefs and programming are helping people at a deep level throughout their healing journey?
Yeah, for sure. And of course I don't think we'll ever leave, this realm without having some beliefs and programs.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting. We come in with so much of it, and people are like, why am I so here? This is my 30th time here. And a lot of it is we haven't learned the lessons, I believe. We haven't broken that programming. And
Yeah.
so we're still here because it's a great realm to do. Even though I believe it's a game realm, which sounds really frivolous, I think some of the deepest work is done here that we've avoided doing possibly for trillions of years. And so there's active living and there's passive living. And there's nothing, I don't want to make anyone right or wrong. I don't believe in right or wrong. So I'm not saying it's wrong if you choose to live passively. If you want to live and just take everything as it comes and think that everything's fate, or if you're religious, I respect that. That's fine. I call that living passively. But how I choose to live, hopefully most of the time, and what I teach, and I assume what you would teach or encourage is, you know, I call it fire creation. We're eternal, limitless beings of the all, and we have all potential all the time. So why not create your realm, create your reality? So then we're like, well, how do we do that? And so that's when we bump up against things that stop us. And there's a million things, some of the categories you keep mentioning, which is beliefs and programming. So I just ran a client before this. I just was scanning someone before this show, and it's a full scan. So she's saying, give me whatever you got, mind, body, soul, program. It doesn't matter. Anything, just tell me. And one of the things that she's a successful realtor. But one of the things that came up in her field out of millions of things is something to bring attention to her right now is she had some money beliefs, some specific money beliefs that came up in her, field. And so, I shared those with her, and now she has the opportunity to clear. So what I love about where we are in, 2023, 2024 is we've been allowed, or we have brought forth from our oversouls this amazing technology that, you and I know that we can read people or we can merge with people, and we know there's a cost to that. And
Yeah.
there's also a time constraint with that. But when we can scan people with something that has a computer process before it, I can give, I still do readings, and the old fashioned way, all kinds of things I do the old fashioned way, but I also use technology, which appears to be psychic. It's really not, because we're all frequency transmitters. So it's just reading our
Right.
minds, our, energy fields, our emotions. I mean, science teaches us that our memories are stored in the brain. The memories are not stored in the brain. They're stored in the energy field, and you carry them with you. They're stored in the soul imprint. Of course, they're distorted, but we could get into that conversation, stored in the Akashic records as well, that there's a lot of access that people don't understand. The Akashic records are open. because you can access them. Any being, any ET race, including higher technological ones, can access them, and they have. And so a lot of the Akashic records are distorted. So you have to have a very high degree of frequency discernment to be, when you're looking, I don't know, I assume you look at people's records, when you're looking at records and you're like, false memory, we're throwing that out. That
Yeah.
book was written by someone else, we're throwing that out. And that's the thing that's coming up a lot in people's fields today too, shockingly amount of the false memories that we believe happened in this life, or that we inherited as family stories, do affect us negatively. And that's what they're designed to do. That's why there's false memory insertion. And I see that in almost everybody I scan, is that we are believing false memories, maybe from a past life, maybe from childhood, maybe a family story, maybe a genetic story. But it's hurting, it's inhibiting our ability to be, in the fullness of our being. So it gets really, really complex, almost overwhelming. But, we can sit here passively and be like, oh, I'm just not going to work on it this 100 years, either.
I'll let
And,
it do the next time.
and it doesn't necessarily mean, that's a whole other thing of what I believe about death and coming back. Doesn't mean you're going to come back. But why go into your next life, whether it's a next life here or it's a next life somewhere else? Why go into that life? Like, don't you want to have like a head start? Like I do, like some of this stuff is exhausting. Like I know I've dragged some of this stuff. A lot of the places that we see the stuff we've dragged in, and I want your opinion on this, is in relationships, the relationship patterns, the
Absolutely.
the wounding, the self-image, the lack of self-love and self-nurture. And just because you die at 85 doesn't mean you've wrestled some of those demons to the ground. And I just think any work we do is beneficial to our next life and to our genetic line, to our children, our grandchildren, past, present, and future.
I absolutely agree with you. And that's something, it's funny you're bringing it up about the false memories, because that's something I've been working with people, is going through
Wow.
memories you have, changing the memories. And actually it was kind of funny because it was brought up in conversations with people that I had lived life with, and they were talking about memories they had. And I'm like, I don't remember it that way. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I remember it this way. And so it's really, it's our own stuff. when we
Yeah,
start
right,
when we
right.
start really, we don't feel we're worth it, we don't feel we have all these beliefs about ourselves, and it's really amplified with the people around us, the
Mm,
relationships we have around it. If we don't feel, we've got people that make sure that we still don't feel good. So it's just
mm.
amplified. It's kind of I kind of look at it as the people around us that bug us the most are the mirror that we're looking at and going, what do I need to change about myself? Why is it bothering me? Because if I was through that, it really wouldn't affect me. It wouldn't bother me at all. And I could just like, whatever, and move on. But when it
I
bothers
love that you're bringing that up, because a thing I notice in myself still is the triggers, being triggered. At any time we're triggered, and I'm speaking to myself most of all, anytime we have that, flare, that rise, you can literally feel that either irritation or anger or, lashing out, a projection. You really need to take that as your signal. Like you said, like there's something beneath that. Like, why am I triggered? Is it a self-worth issue? Is it something I'm not being honest with myself about, or honest with a person about? Is it a maybe a false belief or a programmed belief? Like it could be a million, a million trillion things. Another thing about people that trigger us is sometimes it is us. Sometimes they're not conscious, and we're all used as handlers. One of the things that come up on the technology that shocks people is we're all handling people whether we want to or not. So you'd be
yeah.
like, no, I'm just a mother and I'm just mothering my children. Are you? Are there some programs that the matrix is like triggering you so that there's a negative, no one's perfect here. We're all learning, we're all growing. There's no perfect parent, no perfect spouse, no perfect employee or employer. But it's so interesting because there are actual handlers put in our life, and people are like, oh, my mom would never handle me. Well, we're not saying it's all conscious. There are paid handlers too. Have you guys ever heard of what I call the agency? Because there's only one, but there's agencies that pay people to infiltrate into people's lives and completely handle them. So,
Mm.
that's paid handlers, but there's also this subconscious handling that we do out of our own fear and our own projections and our own insecurities and manipulations. Um, And I think you also pointed out subtly, if you guys go back and listen, we all live our own reality, but we
Yeah.
intersect with other people's realities. And so it just becomes so interesting, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And and for me, when you talk about there's no perfect people out there, no perfect person, there's no perfect anything. Every day we're learning, we're growing, and to understand that. And that's one of the things as I'm learning more, I'm like going back and when you talked about handlers, our own children, we handle them in different ways. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh my God, what did I do? So I talk to my kids now and I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry I did that. But I didn't even realize I
right,
was doing it. It was that subconscious. You didn't even realize you were being the handler in those moments.
right.
So for me, it's like with parents out there, give yourself a break. And if you screw up, just tell them, hey, I screwed up and roll with it. But really explaining, I found for me, it's not just saying, hey, I really feel I handled this incorrectly. I really wish I would have handled it this way. But to go through and explain why it really makes your children look and go, oh, well, maybe I'm doing that somewhere too. Because like you said, genetic, it's handled down and we're in our family groups for a reason. We're all learning
Mm,
and growing. So what a great way to have those open conversations instead of going, oh, I don't ever want to say I messed something up. This is say, okay, I'm learning and this is something I'd like to do differently going forward because it is changing that genetic cycle in your family and I think as parents or even just and not everybody's a parent, that doesn't really
sure.
equate, but a parent is to me is someone who cares about someone with their heart.
Mm,
That's it. I don't care about bloodlines. Never have. And that's something for people to really keep in context. The people you meet are your family.
mm.
It doesn't matter about the bloodline. So treating them and when you do something you're not proud of, own up to it and say, "Hey, I wish I would have done that differently." And I'm just gotta say, I've got a team on the other side I work with, and they're coming in hot and heavy right now.
Aw,
But they're excited to share this information. They make the emotion come through, but they're excited
aw,
because there's so many people, parents that come down on themselves way too hard, way too hard. And instead knowing it's just part of the learning process. It's part of when it feels the hardest is when you're making the most change. So they just are just sending this general message out for people who are dealing with people when it's making that difference the most, when it feels the hardest, that's when the most change is happening and the most cycles are being broken.
love that. I think one of the most beautiful gifts you could give, in this case, your children, but a spouse or anyone would be, I've given the open invitation to my children. You're welcome to talk about what upset you or what confused you or what hurt you in childhood. And I will listen without judgment and I will not be defensive. And I think um it's important to give a voice to the pain that we may not have given a voice to when they were young, or the confusion. My children are from a divorced family. There might be, confusion there. They might want to talk about, um, you know, why did you divorce my dad? Or why did you pick this man and be in this bad relationship? I mean, sometimes we don't give each other in any relationship, friendships, partners, children. I think sometimes there's just such a gift in listening and allowing someone else to express their opinion, their emotions, their point of view without judgment. That's not a gift a lot of people can give or ever offer.
I love that. That's really talk about generational healing. That's huge. And to have that open conversation, but it is a time where you've really got to look at yourself and go, can I handle that
It's true.
conversation? Because if you honestly can't handle it, it's just going to cause a lot more drama.
True.
So,
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
so make sure you're in the right place to handle that. But what a beautiful gift to give. And really, we're taping this around the Christmas time season, but we're going to be it coming out
Right.
later this spring. And we're going through the love aspects and all of the different areas. And then you get into, summer. A lot of times there's family reunions, family get-togethers. This is a time to really look at, are you ready to put yourself out there, to open yourself up to say, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it truly and not get defensive and not get angry. That's such a huge thing. And I think it's something people I love this part of it, and it's something, I've always asked my kids, but I think I need to do it a little bit differently, like you recommended, saying I'll be open, I'm not going to judge. So it opens up the table a little bit more. So I love that aspect. So thank you for that. It'll help me.
Yeah, and it does. It brings you heart to heart closer. It creates a trust. It builds a new foundation, even if you've had a broken relationship. I have friends that have very broken relationships with their adult children for different reasons, and it reestablishes trust. It's like, okay, well, I may not understand why mom or dad did this, but they're a safe space. And going forward, I think there's no higher privilege as a friend or a parent or a partner when someone can trust you with their brokenness.
I love that. And that is so, so key. And to have that safe space, because honestly, a lot of people who feel that brokenness, a lot of times they feel they have no one that they can honestly speak what they're feeling. And to give them that space, I think it's the greatest gift of all. It's such a great gift. And that's something with, what you and I do, and I'm speaking for myself, it's really changing people's perspectives and changing and giving that love back to themselves so they can really feel who they are on this greater, I call it the divine aspect of feeling that connection with everything that's around you. I think
Mhm.
that's so important for people to make that connection. And that's why I was so happy I was reading through some of your things, how you're, working on helping people taking responsibility for your actions, which is what we've been talking about as parents here, but as friend, as a partner, that's huge, taking responsibility for things that maybe didn't go as well. And for me, I don't know about you, what your impact feeling is on this, but for me, I feel like every part of us, when you talked about timeline, it's like we're a different person than what we were before. We're a different person in every moment. And to give people the opportunity to change and be a different person, that's huge, huge. When you're working with people, and so they're just saying you're working with people, so my team is talking at the same time, so I'm trying to get their words in mind.
Totally understand.
And they're saying you and I started out working regularly, the old-fashioned way. And now we're both kind of moving into the different area, like working with technology. And I mean, doing this is technology. I'm not doing the
Absolutely.
frequency like you're doing. So what brought you from going from here to the old-fashioned way to then moving more into the
Ah.
frequency aspect?
So I was having I always say I'm a slow learner. I really health wise, mentally, emotionally, I should never have had more than one child. And I have four. So I say I'm a slow learner. But in that whole process of health problems, every time I got pregnant, um, my midwife said to me, she said, there's this lady, and I lived in Ohio at the time. She said, there's this lady, and she lives like an hour away from you in Ohio, and she has no certifications. She's not a doctor. She's not a nurse. She's not nothing. She just has this machine, and I think it would really help you. So I drive out to this lady, and as she's testing me on this machine, which was a biomeridian feedback machine at the time, 25 years ago, I heard this voice say, one day you will have one of these machines, which I ended up having two, and you will help thousands of people. And I'm like, whatever. Oh my gosh. But I ended up having two. I ended up having four in-person clinics, and I ended up helping and still do help thousands of people. Um, and so the origination of the technology I use now is the biofeedback machines, which there's the Skio and the biomeridian. There's many versions of it. But the beauty is now, it's been condensed and tweaked and it's different, to our phones and
Nice.
our iPads and our computers. So, I ride on airplanes and I strike up conversations with people and I can scan them right there in 2 minutes or less and open up this beautiful, whichever, it might be a metaphysical conversation or it might be a physical conversation, it might be a technological AI conversation, but it's such a great conversation starter, and it's just so beautiful. And what's so cool is because time is non-local, there is no time and space. I can have this worldwide practice, and I can scan pets and places and people anywhere. Just because, your level of how long you've been doing what you've been doing and my level, there's different levels, there's beginning and middle and advanced. And just, I've been working with technology now for 25, 30 years. I can say my scans are 100% accurate, and you understand because you teach classes, and so do I. You teach mediumship, you teach different things. You understand there's levels,
Yeah.
you would say there's expert students and there's beginning students. And so, yeah, it's just a really beautiful thing. That's kind of how I bridged into it, was using, the machine technology, the biofeedback, in an in-person clinic, seeing physical people, and you just learn a lot by having a clinical practice. I think some of the online schooling is great, but I think what the online schooling, and I'm talking about in anything, you guys, whether it's architecture, nursing, mediumship, psychic, whatever, it doesn't matter what you're learning online, there's no replacement. I mean, honestly, every client I scan, I'm sure you're the same way. Every person I do a psychic reading for, I learned so much from the actual interaction between that energy field of mine and someone else's. And so, no matter how amazing, the books you guys are reading or the classes you're taking, I think there's no substitution for practicing it.
Absolutely. And it's true. I mean, and you and I are both busy people, and most of our I feel, for me, I'm just speaking for me, but I feel a lot of my growth and expansion and understanding comes from the interaction with the clients I have, because that's where that I'm learning so much, because my team and their team, everybody together has a plan, and they're
Mhm.
there to help everyone. And that plan is just like, and I always feel, for me, a teacher is someone who is learning ahead of the students.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And that's to me what a teacher is. It's someone who's just learning at an accelerated pace ahead of the students. That's it. And so we're always learning. I'm always going to be
Yeah,
learning
I
till the
agree.
day I die. I'm excited to learn. I don't know what's going to come up next, but oh, what fun it's going to be. But that is something people, I think, don't understand, is the people who are in this business, who do all this, like you and I, we're learning along with what's happening in our readings and our sessions. And as we're creating our sessions, as we're creating the classes, they're teaching us all the time with what's coming up. As you've been doing this, so there was the 2020, 2021 aspect in there where everything kind of shut down and a lot more
Right.
people went online.
Right.
How did you switch more of your business from going, because you were meeting a lot of people in person and you still meet people in person, but how
Right.
did you make that switch to now reach people, and how can people reach you now, and how does a session work with you now that you're more online?
Yeah. So, and it confuses people, and I've had to make videos to explain the process because, when you say a scan, people are thinking, oh, a Zoom call like you and I are having, we're
Right.
having a Zoom call. I'm like, no, we don't need a Zoom call. So literally, I just, use the program, and, I always combine it as you combine everything with our own, innate abilities. But, I just scan the person and I do an aura reading and I send them the aura and I record 15, 20, 25, 30, depending on what you're buying. And I talk fast, as you can tell, so you get a lot of information. And then you would email me back and say, okay, well, this is my response to that. Sometimes I'll ask questions. I'm sure you do too. Like, I'll
Yeah.
be like, are you having trouble sleeping? Because, I'm seeing they are,
Yeah.
but I want some feedback. And so we go back and forth a little bit with the dialogue. Do I do one-on-one sessions on Zoom exactly like this? Absolutely. And those are a little different. Those are more mentoring, to your specific questions about reality or your life or learning something, where the material needs to be more tailored. But, definitely the scans provide, a lot of people are like, do I need a one-on-one session? I'm like, no, you need to do what came up in the scan and what I recommended, the work. You don't need to talk to me. And I'm sure, um, in a way it seems less personal, but I really discourage, and I don't know about you, I assume you're a little like this since you're a teacher, but I really want people to do the work themselves and learn how not to rely on me.
Yes,
I want them
absolutely.
to learn to go to their oversoul, to go deep within, to sit silently, connect directly to the all. Because here's a secret that people don't believe is that all accurate information, if you can discern and read frequency, is available at all times to all of us. Um,
Yes.
yes, when we come on this planet, because of the work we've done or the person we've chosen to be, the expression of the all, yes, we can be more psychic automatically. Less like you are super and have been, it looks like super directly connected to the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth dimensions, really directly connected, really able to feel, see, and hear. Not everybody's born like that. You were.
Right.
Um, I was. And even you and I have different skill aspects. I would say I'm not as strong a medium as you are. You know, maybe you're not as strong as something I am. And so it's
Right.
interesting just because you and I are what I would call high level mediums or psychics, or on the more master level in this reality, at least. Doesn't mean we're master at everything. You know, like
Right.
I said, if I had somebody saying, "Oh, do you know a good medium?" I'd be like, I'm not going to have them come to me. I'm going to send them to someone who has developed and refined their skill in that certain area. And so, as we say, everybody's psychic, I always say, go for the low hanging fruit. Some of you guys can hear, some of
Yeah.
you, but I will tell you what I know 100%, and this also scans as accurate, that everybody has that they don't use. It's so easy. It's your knowing.
Oh,
Knowing
yes.
isn't smelling a psychic smell. It's not moving an object. It's not getting a vision. Knowing is somebody asks you your opinion. You just know. You know, do you think my 17-year-old daughter should move out? Or do you think, and if you get that knowing, like I just, and that knowing, what you guys don't understand is that knowing is actually deeply profound, because that knowing is actually psychic vision or psychic memory, or a memory of who you, it is connection to the other realms, to your guides, to other information. So I encourage people as a base start to, when you know something, stand on it, speak it, do it, act on it yourself. You really shouldn't be giving advice to other people if you aren't acting on your own knowing. I know I should take this job. I know I shouldn't take this job. I know I should buy this house. I know I shouldn't buy this house. I know I should go this way to work. I know I shouldn't. I mean, and people are like, well, you can do applied kinesiology, you can muscle test, you can do the pendulum, and you can fall back and fall forward. Yes, but you don't need to.
Yeah. Right.
And again, one of the things that comes up, which is shocking to me, and believe me, you guys, I don't do it. I should. The oversoul, the soul, the beings that we are, they want to sit alone in silence and receive information. They don't want the radio on. They don't want mantras playing. They don't want crystal bowls. Connection. I mean, do you guys know that all information that is happening right now all over the world is passed on the wind by the trees? How many of you go sit out under the trees and ask, put your hand and say, hey, could you connect me? What could you learn about what's really happening, not what you're watching on the news? We need to go silent, and we need to go with wise sentient beings, and we need to go within and connect that way. But we're taught everything's without. We're taught to go without, to go seek from social media. And there's a time and a place. I'm not trying to speak against you. And I are both teachers. We give classes and we mentor and we do all these things. I'm not saying there's a time and a place for that. But have you even tried to go within? Do you know who your guides are? I know you do. I
Yeah.
know I do. But you guys, we all have guides. We all have soul family. What I find, because we're able to scan the field, and I'm able to tell people, if you're a soul collect, most of us here now are not one single soul. We haven't lived one life as a Palladian for 75 trillion years. We're a collective, and within the body, we're a soul collective. Guess what? That's exciting. That doesn't just mean you have one soul family. I just talked to someone the other day who had 100 soul fragments in their body. That's a great soul family. Start calling in. Do you guys know what came up for me this morning? And I'm like, I'm on this. Calling in accounts receivable. What does that mean? It means I have done amazing things monetarily, spiritually, physically, through all time and space, in other realms and other realities, in past lives. And I'm owed. There's people that have an energetic debt to me. And so I scanned my field this morning and it said, I need to call it. I'm on that. I'm calling an accounts receivable all day long. But we're not
I
taught
love
these things. We're not taught that we're these vast beings that have so much going on, you know?
Absolutely. And I love that, because there's a lot of people, and I am still working through some of there's the lack, you talked about money different times. And we grow up, a lot of us, in a household, in a genetic, in a societal aspect of lack. I mean, they crucify people who make money. I mean, they put people up and, oh, it's really bad. They have all that money. How can they do that? So if you're
Mhm.
doing that, how in the world are you ever going to be okay with having money if you think all the people are bad having it? And it is really, it's taught with us there's so many levels to that. I could go on forever on all the levels and
Oh,
where
for
it's
sure.
at and the
For sure.
programming within that.
Yep, yep.
But it's realizing, like, oh, there it is. For me, it's like I am always looking and like, oh, there it is again. There's another aspect, another bit of programming, another bit of belief that was there about that. And it's going, oh, there it is. I can recognize it. I can shift my beliefs on it. I can let that part go and move on and allow it in, because a lot of us don't allow it. And I love how you said the debt you're owed by others in all the other realms. And the other aspect I really love, sometimes, and not in a bad way, but a lot of us have animals, dogs, pets that are a mixed breed of everything. And that
Sure.
mixed breed, you get to see all these different aspects of the other breeds that are in them.
Yeah.
And we're the same. We have all these different aspects of all the different breeds that are with, calling it breed on that aspect, but all those different
I like
aspects
it.
of us from all the other worlds. We have all of that in there. So tap into it when you see an animal going, like, they're acting more like this breed, go, what else do I have in me? And what else can I connect
Exactly.
into? And I love the trees you mentioned. I think that's something I've always went out and just sat with the trees and asked them, and because they've seen so much and they know so much and they're connected to so much, asking them, what do I need to know today? But I love how you're using the trees, and there's one right there in a big
Uh, I
painting.
love it.
Is connecting, that tree connects to everything. That's your roadmap to everything if you're willing to tap into it. And the other part you brought up, they want to go back to the trees. My team is just saying they want to go back to the trees. When you go and work with the trees, because a lot of people are taught you're doing all these different mantras, all these different things, what are you doing? What does your connection look like with the trees?
Um, it's so interesting. Well, we also need to understand that the tree's roots go down. So a lot of us have trouble being grounded. Like if you want to learn how to be grounded, go sit with the trees. They'll tell you all day how to be rooted, but yet connected. They're the perfect, in this reality illustration where we all want to fly and we think it has to be either and or, and it doesn't. You can be completely grounded and rooted and send out aspects of you. We would call it bilocating or trilocating, which is actually another natural ability we all have. But you can be totally hold your body and stay in your body and still go view anytime, any place, any realm, any reality, any aspect of you that you want and connect. I love what you said about, and this is so unused, is not just the races, soul races or ET races that we've been, that we can connect and use. I love that you said that, but there's aspects of us right now that are high level assassins. There's aspects of us that are um, magical, known throughout the galaxy, healers. Like, have you guys ever thought instead of going outside yourself, just say, okay, I know that I'm this, and I'm gonna go to that aspect of me, and I'm having migraines. And instead of going outside myself, first I'm gonna go to me, who's revered throughout the galaxy, all time, all space, and I'm gonna ask me, what's the root of my migraines? And sit with that. And another thing I want to talk to you guys about really quick is a living journal. So do you know, and it doesn't have to be fancy. This is a note. This is a notebook. It's not really my journal, but I do have a journal. In the Chinese, they call them Ben Sao journals. It means living journal. And
Right.
do you know that when you write something, when you guys write with your energy and your life force, it becomes living. And if you guys start taking a journal, whether you're sitting alone in a room or sitting in nature, and you just start writing, that becomes living. And when you go back, sometimes you'll be like, I don't remember writing this. I swear this wasn't here. There's like an extra 3 pages.
I've done that where you don't even realize it and you go back and all of a sudden you're reading something and like, when did I write that? And when did that happen? And you're like, how did I not remember that? So I
But it's
like,
living.
oh,
Actually, it's magical and living. And I just want to suggest this. What if you started today? I'm telling you, your grandchildren, your great-great-grandchildren, you talk about a magical book, your kids are going to fight over that. The wisdom, the power. I mean, yeah, that's magic. I mean, it's the simple things. We act like everything other than us is magical. Everybody other than us is powerful. It's not true. You are, I mean, you and I are the same being. I mean, we're from the same place. We're just
yeah,
living a different expression by choice. So whoever you revere, whoever you could even say worship or look up to through all history, or healers or mediums or psychics, or that's you. So look for those aspects of you. We're here as a resource. We're here as a guide. We're here to hold your hand and totally walk beside you, but you guys have it all. Like sometimes I want to weep. I don't know, maybe you do. In sessions, it crushes me because sometimes the being sitting before me is in 3D terms, someone greater than what you guys would consider me. And they don't know it. I don't know if you know what I mean. When you see their past lives, when you
oh,
see their abilities, when you see where they've lived and what they've done, maybe they're more highly skilled than me in many areas, or have a wisdom that I haven't learned yet. And I'm just like, why are you coming to me? I even say that to my clients sometimes. Why are you sitting before me? I should be coming to you. But and the difference is you and I, for whatever reason, have done the work. Some of it have been awakened. Some of it may be gifted upon us by guides or by other beings that are assisting. But you guys are magic. And I so desire. I mean, you want to go to 5, 6, 7. I say, why do we aim for 5D in this realm? Personally, I'd rather be in a 12D world than a 5D world. So I may mean higher than 5D. And
absolutely.
you guys are doing it. Beautiful beings like yourself. We're doing it. We're at 4.3 right now. People don't know that. That's why people are like, the veils are thinning. The veils aren't thinning. You guys are rising. Our
Exactly.
frequency is rising. We can see the fourth dimension now. Everybody, basically,
Yeah.
because we're in it, thankfully. So let's go. Let's go 5, 6, 7. Let's take down everything and recapture the magic in each one of us.
I love that. And really, we don't celebrate the magic within us. How many times do people take the time to celebrate them, to go, wow, look at what I did, look what I've accomplished, look who I am, and just celebrate you, celebrate your heart, celebrate who you are. And well, I love the part where you said we're not and, or we're and not or, because my team has been bringing
Mm.
that up so much. It's like, stop the or, it's the and expect more, look for more, shoot your goals higher. Like you said, why are we shooting for 5? Go further. There's so much more. Bring all that in too. And that those realms, that energy is also available to us
Yeah,
if we're
true,
willing to step into it.
true.
And I loved how you brought up how, tap into yourself because your aspect of you has the answers. I always say when people are praying, you're the answer to your own prayers. It's
I got
you.
chills.
You
You.
have the answers. You're the one you're connecting into. And, you work with past lives, like people with past lives and that too. And it's like, did you ever think those people, those past life versions that are affecting you at the moment or just coming up where it's
Right.
it's the first thing coming up? Did you ever think they're the ones reaching out for their prayers to be answered by you? You're the answer to their prayers.
You know what I love? This is such a pivotal time. I really want to lay this on you guys. I think it's so beautiful. My information is that anyone who's alive right now, we were appointed, voted on, and chosen by every single person in our family line because they believe that we can do it. We can do what they and we, as some of our ancestors, didn't do up until now. We can turn the tide to a higher frequency. We can take down some of the collective negative, lower frequency constructs. You are here because there is a knowing by everyone that came before you and somewhat tied in with the future, because again, there all time is now. You're almost, like how we look at these quote savior images, Jesus and Buddha. In a way, in your lines, you guys, you are that savior. They voted on you not to give you this unbearable responsibility that you can't deliver, because they understand the essence of who you are through time and space, and they know that you are the best person for the job. There's just something very, very appointed and chosen and special about living right now, and you have that full support of your family lines, and so many beings are cheering for each one of us that are standing, living through these times.
It's like I always tell people, only the best of the best are here.
That's it.
It's so many people are like, oh, I'm not good at this or doing this. And it's like the best of the best are here. And that's you. You need to look at yourself differently and take the victimhood, which we've been oppressed a lot with the
Yeah,
victimhood. Yeah.
exactly.
It's taking that and going, if the best of the best are here, that includes me.
Yep.
So we're making the change. It's so pivotal, so key. And I'm excited to be here. And, when you talked about seeing people who they really are, that being behind them, it is absolutely amazing. And I've seen people, I'm like, if you could see yourself, if you could see who you really are, oh my God, you'd have no questions, no doubts.
That's
And
it. That's it. Yeah, I
it
totally agree.
it's just crazy. And so one of the things they're just saying this is a great conversation for so many people to hear, to realize the best of the best are here. You're chosen. You've gotten in line, and I really feel too, you've been voted on, like, who wants to go do this one? Because it's going to be a heck of a great time. It's going to
All
be a
right.
little challenging, but the change that can come from that challenge, so worth it. And you're part of that for your future generations, for the generations that passed. If we look at a timeline, which really, like you said, is really not the timeline as we look at, but as a human, that's the best way to look at it.
Right.
That's shifting and changing for everyone. And I don't even think we've even gotten to the questions I was actually going to ask you yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Spirit took over.
But Spirit took over because this was first, and they said the other questions will come really quick and easy. But I just keep hearing from them is first a big thank you to you, to stepping out when it wasn't in the norm and wasn't the most clickiest thing to do years ago, stepping out in there and making yourself known and they're just saying your aura has been shining so bright for so long and can't not be seen. And they're just saying they're so happy for you to have taken that path, because we all have the choice. We can choose to stay in the closet. You can choose to,
Yeah.
just passively live your life. And you've chosen to take control of it. And you've chosen to change so much for yourself and so many others. And I just keep hearing a big thank you to you for all you've done
Oh,
for
thank you guys. I appreciate
that.
it. Oh, very sweet.
And so one of the things, there's a couple of things, we're going to shift gears a little bit. You touched on it a little bit when you talked about the trees and talked about seeing things in other areas. It's the remote viewing. And when you started doing the remote viewing, first, how or why did you start doing that? And then what are the things that you've used your remote viewing for? And then there's a little bit, we want to talk a little bit about the SSP, if you can explain what that is too.
I'd love to. So kind of like, to me, one of your primary abilities, top no abilities, would be a medium. And for me, one of my top note abilities would be remote viewing, because I can't not be a remote viewer. So when I was, 2 and 3 years old, I share the story of how I was triggered by sirens and taken to violent crime scenes. I didn't know it was called remote viewing, but I mean, that's what the official, term is. Have I done the military style where they give you a coordinate? Yes. Have I taught the military style? Yes. But mine is more of an innate, I just go there. And again, you guys can learn to do this too, because your soul is like an ocean, and you're already split, whether you know it or not, into many aspects and many realms and shadow realities and timelines and places, both created and created by others, created by you, and created by others right now. And one way you can use remote viewing that I use it is in my own life. So if I want to go to a past life, I go and view it. If I want to go to a future life, I go and view it. If I want to go see another aspect of where I am, because this could get a really complex conversation. I don't want to go too deep, but
It's a big one. Yeah.
I call it real dream day and real dream night. So one of my big questions, and I don't have the answer yet, I'm sitting in it, you guys. One of my big questions right now is sleep a program? Do we need to sleep? Because what happens at night that I see and is testing on the tech and that I'm seeing in your guys' lives is completely the same as living. It's like we live two lives in one 24-hour period. And the difference between somewhat, we'll take technology out of it for a minute, but difference between daytime and nighttime is most of our daytime is conscious, not all of it, because they're still using tech on you guys in the daytime. They're memory wiping, they're freezing time and removing you. They're taking whole towns, they're taking whole states, they're taking whole countries, they're taking households, they're taking select people, even in the daytime. It's a whole nother conversation, probably for another program. But especially at night, people are like so afraid of dying. Are you guys afraid of going to sleep? I mean, maybe some of you are, but very few people are. A lot of people, when you get older, so funny. You don't want to go to sleep when you're young, but when you're old, I love sleep. Oh,
Yeah.
sleep, like, love my bed, love my naps. But but we basically die every day when we go to sleep, and then other people have access to us. They have access to our bodies. They take us bodily. They have access to our consciousness. My family works in cloning and the transfer of human consciousness. So we're just so far, and we passively give over these parts of our lives. So one of the ways I use my remote viewing is when all these things come up that are happening to people at night, I go and I see, I follow the frequency chords, and I'm like, is this military? Is this SSP? Is this a lower astral group? Is this a elemental group? Is this a negative ET group? And then we deal with things from there, because I also want to let you guys off a hook. Today we've been talking a lot about personal responsibility in the work, and there is a lot that needs done that maybe we haven't done as individuals, but there's also things that are happening to you that are interfering with you doing the work and interfering with monetary success or love success or healing success or whatever, that are outside agencies. And so I feel really challenged, honored, charged, that I'm able to untangle what a lot of people can't see and untangle, and relieve and teach you how to deal with the agencies and the beings that are interfering in your life, let's say negatively, as well as see the positive, like you're talking about today, the positive soul family support. So I've refined my remote viewing I used to use it to play like jokes on my paranormal boyfriends. I used to go ahead to the houses that he was going to go, and he was the best EVPer. So one day I decided I'll go clear the house ahead of him and strip it of everything. So he was walking. Oh, they were so mad. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I had a boyfriend like 0 days after that. He's like, I have a question to ask you. Did you go remote view and clear the house before we went there? I'm like, why did you say that? He said, because I got no EVPs. There was nothing there. I'm like, you're welcome. He's like, we're done. So yes, I sometimes misuse my remote viewing abilities because I'm a prankster, but
You got to have fun too.
you too. But I used to use my remote viewing abilities, and this got me in trouble too, girl. People would hire me and say, it's my husband or wife cheating. So I would go remote view. I'm like, here's the license plate, here's the car, here's the restaurant, here's the description, here's the name, here's what they've done, here's what they did last week. And then I started getting called to testify in divorces.
Yeah.
You do not want to be a psychic medium remote viewer testifying in people's divorces. You get so much crap you cannot even imagine. And they're like, and what do you do for a living? And you're like, I clean houses. So yeah, I've used my remote viewing, abilities very, very creatively, but now it's so much a part of me. I would say you're like this too. And I know you don't just have medium skills, but it's kind of a suitcase that I bring to every appointment. And if I need to remote view for you, I'm going to. If somebody says this is connected to my past lives, I'll quickly scan through their past lives and be like, I think so, or no, I don't think so. If we have to zero down on a past life, it's beautiful just to be able to go and look and describe that. And what I love about AI, I'm a kind of a proponent for AI rather than so negative, but I love that now I can't draw or paint necessarily, but now I can just type in people's past lives and descriptions of their soulmates and the men's or women's standing in their timelines. And I can give them beautiful pictures immediately within minutes with
How
AI.
cool. How cool is
Now
that?
I'm starting to use my remote viewing abilities combined with AI to give people, some people are more visual. It's cool to see a past life as I saw it, so I've been playing around with that too. So I use it a lot of different ways. Sorry to go way off into that, but
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I've always said it's, for me, I hit, I might be doing the Akashic records, might be doing remote viewing, I might be going into the future. I never know where it's going
right,
to end up. And,
exactly. Right,
you know,
exactly.
but I've always said, I wish I could take what I see here and show you because it's like, oh, if you could only see this, it's just absolutely amazing.
You can use AI, do what I'm doing, type it in AI, play with it.
I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. I'll definitely have
It
to
is.
try that.
It's super nice to be able to, offer that to somebody. So yeah, play with that.
That's awesome. And then as you've been doing this, you've been working with there's something else they're bringing up quick. They're like,
Okay.
since we're on the remote
I love
viewing,
that.
since we're on the remote viewing, we're kind of off tangent a little bit, is also the cryptozoology. I read that you did cryptozoology and I met someone else who did it and it was so
Really?
interesting. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's not it. I, I don't believe anything's an accident, but that ended up being something I was interested in when I was young. I would go to the library and check out books on Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. And, I was always really drawn to that. I have a huge affinity, and you see the dimensions too. So anyone that can see ghosts can see the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of different beings than just human discarnates, and even the beings I'll talk about in a minute in these dimensions. And some of them you don't want to see. But developed a real affinity for the Sasquatch and the dogmen and the little people and all the fae. I call it dark fae, light fae, all sorts of beings. I just sent my son-in-law a picture of two little elves holding hands that I captured the other day, and also
Oh,
Bigfoot
cool.
legs that I captured the other days. I get like the most amazing, like I call it class A photography, but I live on 4 acres of courts. I live under a mountain. I live in the woods. And again, there's a difference in people that are, I would say, investigating the paranormal and people like you and I that live the paranormal. There's a
Yeah.
difference in investigating cryptozoology and going out in the woods a couple times a week, or and going on quads with your guns and your hats backwards and hunting Sasquatch and
Yes.
living among the Sasquatch. I made a deal with them when I bought this land, that they were allowed to stay and live there, because if you guys can look this up on the internet or on Amazon, there are tons and tons of books of how the Sasquatch and the dogmen and the fourth dimensional beings that cross over into the third, and even higher level beings that can cross over into physicality in the third, they drive people out of their homes.
Oh yeah.
They torture them, they scare them, they kill their dogs. And I'm like, we're not going to have any of this. So I made deals with little people. I have a class A photograph of a little person. We have them in North Carolina about this tall, standing in military garb. He stood outside my back door for 3 nights. He came to me and we talked for 3 nights and we made deals. I'll protect them, they'll protect me. I have security camera pictures of dogmen coming through portals in the daytime, you guys, on my property. I just have this huge affinity. I'll drum for them. I'll play, they request music. Sometimes in the summer, I'll sit out and they'll request. They'll be like, country, we want rap, we want this, and all the different beans. I'll play music for them. They come and greet me when I come home. My kids are like, how do you live in the woods alone? Aren't you lonely? I'm like,
Mm.
not lonely. There's just, and so again, here's the thing that we're not taught. It's a category, Sasquatch. We think we know
Yeah.
what Sasquatch is. But I have a relationship, you guys, with the mothers and the fathers and the Sasquatch that come through my land and the Sasquatch that live on my land. I have tree structures. I leave them gifts. They leave me gifts. One time, I have a funny story. I had ordered a rag doll from Amazon, and I was going to give it to the Sasquatch, and I'd left it sitting on my wall. And I don't have young children; my children are all grown. And my dad came over to see me, and he goes, "Why do you have a rag doll sitting on your thing?" And I'm like, "I'm just gonna make something up." I'm like, "It must have fallen out of the Amazon truck." But eventually, I went and took it to the Sasquatch, one of their structures, and left it in the structure. And so again, it goes down to relationship. It's the same thing with your soul family. Like, you can't love all Pleiadians are like this, because all Pleiadians aren't like this.
Right.
All Sasquatch are like this. One of the things I found being immersed in this world, not by choice, just by, I don't know why, how I got dragged in this world, but baby, being able to see them, is people are like, we have to go to the woods to see Sasquatch. I have so many pictures of Sasquatch downtown Winston-Salem, you guys wouldn't believe. These beings, you know this,
Yeah.
all beings, discarnates, all beings. We're all the dimensions are stacked on top of each other. You guys have access to all the beings. They're everywhere. There's Sasquatch around Walmart. I mean, I have pictures of them. So yeah, we need to expand our perspective, because your guys' lives would be so much richer and challenging as well. Not everything's light and fairy, airy and bright
Oh,
and happy
yeah.
bunny tails. So yeah, there's some challenges. I have beings that drive me nuts. I have these cheap blinds that I haven't changed out in my bedroom that we put when we first moved in here. And I have these prankster beings, and I'll close the blinds and they'll ruffle them. And I'm like, really guys, like, just so, and they also love to tilt my pictures. I'm looking at pictures that need fixed. Like, just do it to let me know they're there, the house fairies and the pranksters. And, there's so much we could talk about, you guys, but once your interdimensional sight is open, and we do have cameras, and I get pinged a lot by beings. So it's not even that I always see them, but have you ever been like pinged? Like, like something's like over
Yep.
here, if you didn't see it, but it wants, it kind of like pings you. So just the subtlety. But again, if you guys are too busy with like the mundaneness of life, like grocery shopping and how am I going to pay the electric bill, you guys need to make time to explore and experiment, because I can tell you all this stuff, but I want you guys to have the relationship that I have. Like, it's cool when a Sasquatch mom holds their baby out to you to get a photograph. Like, and a lot of people are like, you don't share photographs. You know what happens when I share my basically class A, clear as day photographs? I get called crazy. I get told I Photoshop them. And the beans don't like that. They don't want to be dishonored. They want to be respected. So I don't have permission to share a lot of my best stuff anymore. You guys need to get it for yourself. And then people try to convince me that I'm crazy. And we all live our own reality. Even
Yeah.
if I am crazy, guys, I'm happily crazy. My
I won't.
relationship is beings. We don't need to make other people right and wrong. And sometimes you'd be surprised just what opening your mind and allowing the possibility in. I'm not saying believe me, believe you. You have a guidance team. Maybe some people don't believe you do. You don't care.
That's the one thing for me. It's and I live out in the middle of nowhere too, and I love it. And like you said, aren't you scared? Aren't you alone? It's like there's so many around us, all the different beings, and they'll call. And I'll be like inside the house, and they're like, you need to come outside. And I'm like, right now, and they're
I
like,
love that.
so,
Oh, I
so it's
love
like,
it.
so then it's like I go outside and we'll play for a while, or we'll just chat, or we'll just be in each other's company, and it's just
Love
opening
that.
yourself up. And I always say, all of us have neighbors or people that you don't really want to spend time with. It's the same with people around, with all the other dimensions. There's the ones you love to spend time with, the ones you
That's
don't
true.
ever want to spend time with. So I always say, quit looking at it as these, like you said, specific beings and things. It's like they're the same as us. You have ones that you really want to spend time with, and then the ones that you just want to walk the other way from. Treat it
Yeah.
the same with all those other beings, all those other dimensions, and they're always around us. I always love so right now I've got a tree in front of me, and they're showing the little fairy beings, the nature spirits just climbing all over the
Oh,
tree.
I love that. Yeah, and I can see a Sasquatch over there too. So yeah, it's
And
funny.
it's they love to join as we're doing our normal day-to-day stuff. They love watching us too. Like, hey, what are they doing today? Let's go
Oh,
check
they
it
do.
out.
They do. They love to watch, is what I jokingly say. They
Yeah,
love to
they
watch.
love
Yep.
to watch. But it's treating them no differently. I say And my family, they get a little crazy. They're like, so are you talking about like a physical person here or someone that or something that's not?
That's what mine plays with me. They're like, wait, is this someone real? I'm like, they're real.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but they're real. And I forget. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, no, this is one you probably can't see, but hopefully we'll see one day.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
I'm with you,
but
girl. I love
to
it.
have that, it's like what a beautiful way. Like I love your happy crazy. It's like I may be crazy, but I'm having a heck of a lot of fun
Right.
doing it.
Right. Right. Right.
And to be for people to open themselves up to there's so much more around us. Those levels, those beings are everywhere around us. Don't be scared of them. Just know instead put your intentions out there. What are you, who do you want in your life? Just like you
Yeah.
wouldn't want the other neighbor over for
Right.
coffee, who would you want over? Put that out there. Hey, whoever wants to spend time with me that is like that person I would love to have over, that's who I want to meet. And
I
to
love
take
that.
the
Great
fear,
idea. That's a
take that
great idea.
fear. And I'm having a heck of a fun time here today.
Yeah, I feel like I found a kindred spirit. You get it. I love it.
But I know we're kind of rolling over the time here.
Sure, sure.
So one of the things is I just want to kind of go through and make sure I've covered the parts I was wanting to cover today is the soulmates. So there's something with soulmates, and we talked about family earlier, soulmates coming in, and there's something you had brought up about soulmates and extreme soulmates. What's the difference on that, and how make our lives easier on that?
So it's so funny because a lot of us are like, I wonder if I have a soulmate, honey
Yeah.
bunny. If you didn't just come out of the all yesterday, you guys have so many soulmates. Now, how I use the term soulmates is a frequency that's very close to your own, but not your own. So it's not, some people say like a twin flame is like exactly you, like split. That's not how I'm using soulmates. I'm
No.
using soulmates as someone very close to your frequency that you've danced with many times in the past and in other realms, other realities, and probably will dance with again many times in the future. Which also overlaps into a whole nother subject, which is timeline enemies, which we won't go into. But so mainly people use soulmates, and I use it this way as well as romantic sexual partners. A soulmate can also be put into your mother or sister or brother, which gets kind of weird. But anyway, it's just an avatar, you guys, which is interesting. I want to bring up really quick before I answer the rest of your question. For single people, I do want to say something. You don't have to have a romantic or sexual partner to have soul connections that are as viable, intense, and deep as what you would consider the 3D programmed concept of soulmate.
Love
So
that.
start to sit, like I'm enjoying your presence, start to sit in the richness and practice the presence of each other. And it doesn't have to be romantic or sexual. You can just recognize this kindred spirit of alignment and magic and enjoy that person. I think we put too much emphasis by design because marriage and relationships, you guys, are huge. This is a fact. The world over, all time, all space, considered huge distractions to expansion and spiritual growth, rapid expansion and spiritual growth. Why? Because you're putting energy into maintaining these intense relationships. But back to soulmates. So we've all had thousands of soulmates, and you're going to encounter a lot of them in your life, even romantic ones, different levels. I've had 5 lives with this person. I had a boyfriend who I broke up with about 7 months ago. And one of his arguments that we shouldn't break up is we've had 28 lives together. That's nothing. You guys are zillions. There's no word for how old you are.
Yes.
Zillions years old. You've had so many lives. Do not ever, I'm like, God, do better than that argument. We're still breaking up. But in this reality, 28 lives is a lot within this realm. I will give you that. It is, I wouldn't, okay. So an extreme soulmate is what you guys have seen in any grand love story in the movies. An extreme soulmate is the best sex you've ever had, the most silent understanding on a telepathy level, because there's only language in the lower realities. All higher races, really above 5D and beyond, even in council meetings, they have whole galactic council meetings that are just telepathy. That is the common
Yeah.
speak, it's partial merge. Partial merge happens everywhere outside of the lower game realms. So a soulmate is someone where you have almost full merge, where you don't have to say what you want for dinner. You don't even have to connect with telepathy. They know. It's a knowing. It's being known. It's everything you've ever wished for or read about in the best romantic books or movies. It's being known. It's being seen. It's being respected. It's being even worshipped. It's being acknowledged on a very, very intricate level. So you don't have a lot of extreme soulmates, because extreme soulmates are the beings that you've been with and chosen to be together or meet up hundreds of thousands of times, you guys. And why do you have this relationship I've described? Because you've been together hundreds of thousands of times. You've learned each other. You've observed each other. You've observed each other in a male avatar. You've observed each other in a female avatar. You've observed each other in a lion avatar or a lion race avatar, as a mermaid or as a goddess or as a king or as a murderer even. Like, you've seen each other in all aspects and you still choose each other. There's nothing more beautiful than someone who fully knows you and chooses you anyway, every time, and would die for you. That's an extreme soulmate. So it's really cool when I see someone who has met an extreme soulmate in this reality or is with an extreme soulmate, which is very rare, because guess what? What do you think an limitless, all-time, all-space ancient being could do with another limitless, all-time ancient being? We know
Oh,
double trouble. So they keep us apart. Even if you've arranged a meeting, generally the military, the programs, secret space, they're going to break you up because they don't want this. That's a true power couple, not just a soulmate, but someone, two ancient beings that get together with memory, with conscious intent,
oh.
maybe, that have the romantic and sexual connection. I mean, we'd go to, 670 instantly if there were two people together like that.
That's very interesting, and very interesting for people to hear about why things happen, why things are not put together like you would expect it to be, especially with the extreme soulmates. That's very interesting. I guess I hadn't put it together before with having the extreme soulmates, two of them together as a power couple. Wow, what a change that could be. What a change that could be. And I could see why that would get broken up. And we talk about that, and then also, and I love the fact that you brought up I see so many people concentrating on my 10 lives or my 15 lives, and I'm sitting there like, well, you guys got to think a lot bigger than that, a lot bigger than that. It's
Yeah,
not
I
even
want to meet you because you're a baby, and I want you're new. If you really only have 10 or 15 lives, you guys are, even in this reality, most people have more than that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's so much more knowledge that they're gaining. And as we're going through that, this whole thing you're talking about frequency and how can people increase or improve their personal frequency?
Uh, I mean, of course, you know what I love, and this is what I love about the tech, and this is what I love. I mean, I run it usually on myself, laying in bed. Do the work. And people are like, what's the work? Come on. We all have addictions. We all know we could eat better. We all know we could drink pure water. Most people test dehydrated. Drink more water. That's the work, you guys. Like, easy and simple things. Get rid of all broken stuff in your home. Throw out clothes you haven't worn in a year. I mean, that's the work too. Clean your friend circle. Stop playing 3D games when you guys are these infinite, limitless beings. You don't have to dumb yourself down into 3D programs. Start creating the life you want. Start by cleaning your friend circle. Stop spending so much time on social media. I was really falling into spending too much time on Instagram. And what was coming up on the app is like deliberate handling coming in through social media. And I'm like, oh, I know what it is, because I love dogs. I love animals. And I was subscribed to all these rescue groups, and there are all these hurt, abused dogs. And it was like haunting me and distracting me, and I want to adopt all the dogs, and I get caught up in all these stories, and it's bringing down my mood. And I'm like, oh, that's a form of handling. Believe it or not, as innocent as that sounds, guys, going on Instagram, you're like, oh, there's worse people out there. Well, I'm sure there are. It's not like I'm a sex addict looking at like porn and I need to get off social media because I'm looking at hot guys. I'm looking at dogs, you guys. But for me, the Matrix is using that as handling. It's
Yeah.
distracting me from being present. It's distracting me from doing my work. It's, I already have enough dogs. I can't really bring another dog into this home, and it's making me feel guilty. Like, we think all this stuff is innocent, and it's not. It's being just more conscious and deliberate. This is what I say. everything matters, nothing matters. If you guys want to blow this realm and never grow, there's nothing wrong about that. First of all, because it's a game realm, but even if it wasn't a game realm, there's nothing wrong. There's no right or wrong. But I want to be ahead in my next life. I don't want to come to my next life with this work, with this low self-esteem I came in with this weirdness about relationships, with this lockdown heart, all my personal issues. I don't want to drag to the next life. I want to have a better life than I had this whole time. And so I'm not trying to make anyone guilty who has no interest in it, but there's so many things we can talk about. One of the things almost everyone's energy field tests for, the benefit of essential oils is way underplayed in this reality. As a matter of fact, there's certain corporations that I'm not going to mention right now that have done research on rose oil. That's why it's so expensive. Roses are not hard to grow, you guys, and roses are not rare. But we just assume the programming, oh, rose essential oil is so expensive because roses are not rare and they're not hard to grow. Rose oil is expensive because of what I'm going to tell you. It's been proven to be one of the best and only essential oils that can release traumatic memories from your field in layers immediately. And wait to hear this, bring back memory. It's higher than the frequency of their memory wiping technology. If you guys want to remember who you are, if you want to remember your past lives, I don't care. Start investing in rose oil, and not the watered down kind. I mean, pure essential rose oil. Save your money, give up coffee. It's life-changing. But again, what you don't know can hurt you. So there's so many things we can bring into our life that we're not doing. And, I could go on and on about, things that we could get out of our life, but the beauty of the technology we use is we're able to scan the field. We're able to say for you, what you need to do isn't what I need to do.
Yes.
It's individual. And that's, again, what we're not taught. We're like, we go to the doctor and the doctor's one size fits all. We go to the psychologist. Sometimes we even go to psychics and it's one size fits all. But it's not. You guys are all individuals. And, that's what I think you do and I do. I think we take each client in each session as it, unravels for the highest and best good of that client who's in front of us.
Absolutely. And that everyone should really embrace the unique individual they are. And that's one thing I think you and I both is like, you teach something and say, okay, this is some basics. This is a great way to start, but make it your own, change it, add in, do what you got to do because you're an individual. You need to embrace that part of it and not take the one size fits all. I love the rose oil. That's a really good idea for people to really look at and to make some changes, simple, easy changes to start them on their path. I love that. And so when you're doing the Haelo, it's Haelo or Halo? How do you pronounce it?
Haelo. It's Haelo. Yeah,
Haelo. Okay.
Right.
So when you're doing that, when people they're just contacting you, you're using your scan on your end and then giving them their information back. And you talked about as you're doing this, you're scanning in with people. And I think you and I have both done this the old-fashioned way. You scan in on them beforehand and then using the technology really helps solidify and bring that out. And I think a lot of people need to see, and a lot of people are that left brain thinking,
Right.
I need to see it, I need to have it proven in front of me. So I think it's an amazing aspect that you're using. And for people, they can just go on your website and sign up for any of your sessions, any of your scans, and get their information there.
Yeah, it's all there. And, I'm pretty prolific, so you can just Google me if you want and find out more too. So, yeah.
Awesome. And then the last question, which I think we've covered a lot of this, what's the secret to everything?
Oh, it's so funny. So I used to say the secret to everything's frequency because, everything's like color and sound all the way back to everything's frequency. But I changed it once I started seeing these beautiful beings. The secret to everything, which you already said, is you. You are the key that unlocks any question you'll ever have, in any timeline, any reality about anything. So
I love it. And I just wanted to, I know we're running a little bit over here for you, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on here. I've had such a great time. This has been so much fun. And I just want to encourage people to go to your website, thesecrettoeverything.com. You have it on YouTube. We've got the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. A lot of those are The Secret to Everything. Otherwise, are Serene Wellness. So make sure to go and check this out. And some of the things that we've just touched on today, you've got other information on there out that. So make sure to go on your website, go on your YouTube channel, check this stuff out. It's going to be helpful to so many people. Is there anything you'd like to say before we close today?
Oh no, thank you so much. You're such a delight and such a kindred spirit. I've really enjoyed our conversation and I hope it's beneficial to all of you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate it. And I had so much fun in our kindred spirits. I love it. We could talk, I think, for a lot longer. I know we could.
Yeah, I agree.
But thank you all so much. Just want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank you, Kimberly, for being here, for sharing your time, sharing who you are with all the listeners. And I want to let people know to make sure to watch the next episodes of Edge Talk Radio. They're on the first and the third Tuesdays of the month. And they're at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed any of those podcasts, any of those episodes, you can go and listen. Usually within a day or so, they're uploaded to pretty much all of the downloadable podcast aspects. You can go on there, all of your iTunes, and that's not iTunes, Apple I things that they are. I don't know what they are anymore, but they're all kinds of podcast abilities out there. Google Podcasts, they're all out there. Make sure to download, listen from there. If you have the chance, check out the YouTube channel, because for me, I love watching the videos. I love hearing and seeing the people and connecting. And I'm so happy to have connected more people with you today. So thank you so much, Kimberly, and thank all of you out there for listening, expanding, and creating and amplifying the world and universe we live in. Thank you all and have an absolutely amazing day.